In January 2013, a £16.5 million private jet touched down on the Isle of Man. It cleared customs in exactly 50 minutes. In that window, the owner secured a full refund on the VAT for importing the plane into Europe, a £3.3 million bill, cancelled in full. The refund relied on a loop of paper ownership. The jet belonged to a company in the British Virgin Islands, which leased it to a shell on the Isle of Man, which leased it to an English firm, which leased it back to the owner. Elite lawyers at EY and Appleby designed this circuit to create a fake charter business that existed only on a ledger. 50 minutes. Most of us have spent longer than that on hold with the tax office, trying to resolve a sum 1,000 times smaller. This divide represents two separate systems of civil duty. There is the strict, unavoidable rulebook for the everyday citizen, and an invisible, highly flexible playbook for the ultra-wealthy. To see how these mechanics work for a corporation, imagine a British coffee chain called Pemberton's. With 500 shops, it makes £20 million in honest domestic profit. Normally, that would mean a £5 million tax bill. The first move is to sell the brand to yourself. You set up a subsidiary in zero-tax Bermuda and transfer the Pemberton's name, the logos, and the recipes to it. Now, your 500 British shops must pay that Bermudan company a royalty for permission to trade as Pemberton's. This fee is a business cost in the UK, so your domestic profit drops. In Bermuda, the money arrives and sits there, untouched by any tax authority. Move 2 is the internal loan. The offshore subsidiary lends money back to the UK business. The stores don't need the cash, but the interest payments on that loan are deductible, wiping out the remaining taxable profit in Britain. The independent cafe across the road, which cannot afford a Bermudan shell property, pays full tax on every pound. They are left wondering why they can't match your prices. This process creates no new value and earns no money elsewhere. It is the legal relabeling of domestic profits into fees to ensure the local tax authority sees as little as possible. Tech and retail giants scale these exact moves into the billions. Their preferred architecture is the double Irish-Dutch sandwich, a structure that sheltered roughly $100 billion of profit a year at its peak. In this model, royalty payments flow between two Irish companies via a Dutch shell. Because of European rules on intracontinental payments, the money moves without being taxed. It eventually lands in an Irish entity managed from Bermuda, creating legally stateless income. This is a respectable industry, staffed by people with law degrees and lanyards. Their work involves the methodical separation of a company's physical business from its legal paperwork. In 2013, tech executives stood under oath and assured a U.S. Senate committee that they did not stash money on Caribbean islands. Within months, their lawyers were sending questionnaires to offshore firms, asking if an Irish company could be run from their island without paying tax. A system holding trillions of dollars offshore is a meticulously engineered machine, drafted for fees by the most prestigious professional firms on Earth. Most of these jurisdictions share a common feature: the British Virgin Islands, Bermuda, Cayman, Jersey, Guernsey. A staggering share of the offshore world flies some version of the British flag. When the British Empire wound down after the war, the City of London pivoted. It moved from administering colonies to administering capital, selling secrecy and zero tax treatment at the edges of the map, while the fees flowed home to London's banks. This is the spider's web. The City of London sits at the center, while the Crown dependencies and overseas territories provide the offshore plumbing. This arrangement allows the UK to maintain respectable standards onshore, while its territories enable roughly a third of the world's corporate tax abuse risk. A government's costs do not fall when the wealthy stop contributing. The hospital still staffs its wards. The school still provides for its students. When billions leak out of the system, the burden moves onto those who cannot relabel their income, employees taxed at source, and small firms with no Dutch partnership to route through. The offshore system maintains a sophisticated political moat. The same men who hold their fortunes in offshore trusts use that untaxed wealth to finance the political movements that govern the rules. Campaigns promising to restore sovereignty have been financed to a documented degree by donors operating beyond national regulators. The people best insulated from broken public finances paid for the campaigning, while the voters they mobilized are left holding the bill. The utility of this arrangement was clear at 11 o'clock the night the Brexit transition ended. Within hours, the UK government gutted DAC 6, the specific rule requiring lawyers and accountants to tell the tax office about their clients' offshore schemes. The offshore machine is the industrial-scale shifting of the cost of civilization onto those least able to leave. It is a system protected by the very wealth it helps to hide.